In this video, what I want to look at is what we call our par plus mode. So as far as equipment configuration, right now I'm just going to be using the target that is over on the right. I've got a NURO set as a sub configuration, which is going to be doing the projection. And then I have a NURO that I'm using to control it and to collect my data, which is set as the master or control device for this lane. So this is going to be collecting the data. It's going to be syncing up with my shooter isolation tool, which is optional in this setting because I'm by myself, but very useful in a group training environment or an indoor range where other people are shooting. So let's take a look at what this looks like. I'm going to push the initiate button on this control NURO, and that will initiate me getting a shoot stimulus. Let's see how it goes. Let me bring this over so that you can see. Okay, so the advantage to Par Plus mode is that it's going to be able to give us some onboard analytics. So you can see that my first shot was 1.73 from the holster, and that's a customizable analytic depending on what you want to see. And you can see that my last shot was 0.31 seconds over when the shoot stimulus went away, with one shot over when the shoot stimulus went away. We're typically looking for about half a second as an objective for our ability to have agility and stop what we're doing. So in this case, it looks like I met that objective. That also is a settable analytic, right? So that can be adjusted. The next screen is going to show me just my shot splits. And then the screen after that is going to give me some more detailed performance data. So you'll see my splits. You'll see end exposure. What end exposure is that tells us if the shoot stimulus was still there or the threat stimulus was still there and I wasn't shooting. Because that can be a problem as well, right? Certainly if there's somebody trying to kill me, I would like to be responding to that. And then I get my stop report, which tells me I stopped in 0.31 seconds, which comprised one shot. Let's try another one. To get my next iteration or my next drill, all I'm going to do is press that initiate button again on the control device. See how I did? Looks like two A-zone hits. I'm at about 8 yards here. First shot was 1.66, and I had no shots that were over. And you can see kind of this graphical readout at the bottom, which gives me a sense that my last shot went just about the time that shoot stimulus went away. Hitting that right arrow button up here will take me to the next screen. That shows me I had a 0.45 second split. I only fired 2 rounds, and my end exposure was 0.1 seconds. So that is within the realm of I recognized it went away and didn't send a second round, particularly shooting splits in the half-second range. So that all looks like acceptable performance to me, for certainly for combat relevant applications. And let's try another one. To run this next drill, all I'm going to do is press the initiate button on the lane control device. And let's see how we did. If I just look here at the main screen, my first shot was 1.79 seconds. I have that analytics set for 1.75. So I did not meet that standard. My last shot was 0.31 seconds over, which does meet my half-second standard. So pressing this right arrow button here, take me to the next screen. I'll see I had two splits that are just about half a second. 8 yards for upper A zone hits. I'm happy with that. And pressing the right arrow button one more time will take me into the more detailed report. So I can see my first shot, I can see my splits. I had no end exposure, which means the shoot stimulus was not still there when I stopped shooting. And I had one shot after, which is my shot 03. You can see that shows up both places here, as it's related to this stimulus, but it also relates to my stopping, which is 0.31 seconds over. To run my next iteration, I'm just going to press that initiate button. Bobbled the draw there. Missed my cover shirt, so we're unlikely to get good performance. And indeed, if we look at the data, 2.43 for my draw stroke. And that round was just after the shoot stimulus went away, but certainly within the bounds of what we would expect human agility to be capable of. And I did have good upper A zone hit, even though my shot was particularly slow. Not a ton of data to look at here, certainly from a performance standpoint. Um, need to work on reliably getting the gun out of the holster. What I've done for this iteration is made a quick change. So I changed, this is literally just one settings change here in the control NURO. I changed the number of NUROs that are actively involved in projecting from number 1 to number 2. So what that means is with the set of settings that I have in here right now, one of these two NUROs is going to go. So one of these two targets is going to present the shoot stimulus, and I don't know which one. So I have to broaden out my vision a little bit and can't just tunnel in on where I expect to see the stimulus because I don't know where it's going to show up. So let's see how this goes. And if we check our data, let's slow me down just a little bit. You can see my two shots there. Looks like the second one went just about the time that that shoot stimulus went away, roughly half-second split. And yeah, so just about the time that shoot stimulus went away is when my second shot went, and I did not send another one. Believe that my first shot was in the lower A zone, so not exactly the accuracy that I'm looking for. Let's try another one. To run the next drill, the only thing I have to do is press that IA button on the left side of the device. All right, so 2 upper A zone hits. I'm okay with my accuracy on that. My response timer, my draw time's still a little slow, or slower than I'd like at least, in the 1.86. And I probably should not have sent that second round. That's 0.67 seconds, so that's in excess of what I want for my ability to be agile. Can come in here and look at a little of the additional data. And a 0.8 second split, so I would like to be quicker. And again, I probably should not have sent that second round. So kind of like right over where we'd like that agility time to be. Let's try another one. Run the next drill. The only thing I have to do is press that one IA button on the right side of the device. Excuse me, left side of the device. Coming here again to look at my data. 1.67 second for my first shot. Had no shots over. 0.38 second split. And end exposure of 0.15. It's kind of right on the cusp where shooting a second shot would have been appropriate, or a third shot rather would have been appropriate. For the next set of drills, I've made one settings change. So in par plus mode, we have what's called the PPN within the NURO user interface, which is the primary par device. So what we're doing here, there's going to be an initial device that provides a shoot stimulus, and that's what those analytics for example, what I'm doing on the range right now for the draw time is going to come from. So it's going to tell me whether I met that standard or not. So we also have, because we have more than one NURO involved here, we have 2 that are projecting, and then those are randomly assigned at the beginning of each session, secondary par NURO assignments 1 through 4, because you can have up to 5 total NUROs involved. And so what I did is I just changed this setting from false to true. And so what that means is I now may have more than one target that I need to shoot at throughout the course of this drill. It's going to be randomly generated, and I don't know what is going to happen. I'll use the back button to get back out to my main operation screen, and let's see how this goes. I made my quick settings changes, and now all that I have to do to initiate this drill is press that one initiate button on the left side of the device. So in this case, because I have more than one target involved and more than one NURO projecting, the NURO doesn't know which targets that I shot at, but to give me good data, I'm going to have to tell it. So I know that my first 2 rounds were fired at the target on the right, which is where this started at. And the first target to initiate is always going to be the default, right? That's what these are always going to be default assigned to. So now I know my third round was fired at the target on the left, so I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to use this right arrow button to change the selection, right? So that went to target number 2, which is assigned to NURO number 2, or the one that's on the right over there. And now that I've got all my assignments made, I can press enter, and this now takes me in where I can get analytics. So my first round was 1.74, so that's a pass. As related to that target, I did not have any shots that were over. If I press the right arrow button, I'm just going to see my splits along with what target they were fired at. Right, and so that'll give me a pretty good idea what my transition time was, right? 0.66 seconds, target to target. And now I'm going to get a screen because I now have more than one target. I'm going to get a screen for each target. So I see that I had a 1.74 first shot, 0.42 second split. My third shot during that shoot exposure, right, or during this threat exposure on the target that was on the right. I fired another round, but that round actually was not fired, of course, at the that target. It was fired at target number 2, right? And so that's a 0.67 second split. And then I see that my next round fired at that target was a 0.5 second split. So that actually accounts, if we add those together, and it does the math for me right here, a 1.23 second split between my second round and third round fired at that target. There's no stop report because I did have a little bit of an end exposure. Now, if I want to see what happened on the other target, I can press this right arrow button. It will take me through and show me that data. So my transition time, which we already knew, was 0.66 seconds. That's how long it took me to get from my last shot on target 1 to my first shot on target 2. But I can also see it was 1.1 seconds between the time that threat stimulus showed up and I was able to respond. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. That's a pretty quick response time for me to see that and shift over while I am actively engaging another target. And then I will see my stop time, my escalation time, and my stop time exposure, right? So I've got 1.1 seconds to get my first round on there. And then that round actually was late, it looks like. So I fired right after that shoot stimulus went away, about 0.05 seconds. So that's well within expectations of human response. So let's look what I'm doing here with my changing my Par Plus settings. So I go into my settings menu, come to Par Plus. All right, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come down to my advanced settings, and I am going to enable SPN, and I'm also going to enable that the shoot stimulus can reappear. And so what that means is I don't know which of these two targets I'm going to have to shoot at. If I do shoot at one, just because the shoot stimulus doesn't or went away doesn't mean it won't come back, and I may have to shoot at more than one. So let's just see how this plays out. All I got to do is go back to the main screen here, press this initiate button, and I'll be off and running with randomly generated drills that run within those parameters. See how it pans out. Bad range training scars. That's what we built this for. There's a lot going on there. I'm not going to try to go in and stick my data in. Let's just come all A-zone hits here. So at least that part's good. Let's give it another whirl. A little simpler here, so easy to manage where the rounds went. 1.83 from the holster, so that's a little slow. A stop time of 0.31 seems okay. This should have given you a really good idea of what you can do with par plus mode, even in something or a setup that is as simple as this. There's a lot that we can do. There's a lot of data to dig into if you want to. And at every layer of where you can get data, there's a couple things you can look at really quickly. If you want to dig into the details, those are there. And the nice thing is all the math is done for you. So you don't have to sit on the range with a calculator or try to dig into the higher math functions in the back of your brain somewhere. To answer the question, even though we're not doing it in this demo, yes, you can set different par times for different targets. That is a feature in here. So for example, if you wanted to run something like this where you didn't know which target you were going to have to shoot at, you're using a long gun or even with a handgun, you've got one target at 5 yards, one target at 10 yards, one target at 25, and one at 50. You obviously wouldn't want the same par time or maybe even the same number of shots that you're going to measure par against for each of those targets. And so that is individually settable, and the analytics will be done for you on the device. Very powerful training mode, very much into the let's get on the trigger and run the gun, a little bit less on the decision-making side, but we still are incorporating that requirement for awareness, particularly when we get into multiple targets and the ability to be agile. Can I get off the gas when I need to? And if something else shows up, can I shift what I'm doing and address that threat also? Thanks for watching, and I hope you check out this and some of our other videos.